hope you're having a great day. I pulled out some Conophytum here to check and water. It is now the middle of March here in northern Idaho where I live, and some varieties of Conophytum are starting to show some signs of starting to go into dormancy. And so I thought, you know what, maybe I'll make a video of some of the different ways that they look as they start going dormant, so to speak. And because generally in the winter we want to water more because they're actively growing. And when they start shriveling like this, for example, usually that means they want a drink of water until it doesn't. And that's kind of the frustrating thing potentially about Conophytum until you kind of get used to their life cycles and how they look when they start going dormant. So for these guys in particular here, this is a great example. And one of the ways that I can tell that they're not just severely dehydrated, that they're actually going dormant, is that these outer leaves here are again really shriveling up, as you can see. However, starting about right here, I'm not sure how clear it is on here, but you can kind of see this top is shriveled and then it starts bulging out here. This is very firm, and this is a new leaf inside. And what happens is these leaves, they can do a few different things, and I'll show you a couple different ones, but this is one of the signs. They just start withering, and about this time of year is when we want to start reducing water. If we keep watering them in the same schedule that we were going through the winter, then instead of shriveling, these outer leaves will rot and fall off. And there's a lot they can still survive if that happens, so don't panic completely, but it's not healthy for the plant. They really like to keep these outer leaves around them. They shrivel up, shrivel up, shrivel up, and then they become this very papery husk, which I will try and paste a couple of photos of a few of these last spring when they were in their paper encasings. If I have some photos of those, I will try and splice them in here. Or at the end, whichever works better. So if they rot, then you kind of need to remove them if they start getting mushy and squishy, and if I have any that do that, I will definitely show you guys, but so far I don't have any that are looking mushy and squishy. But if that happens, the rot can easily progress to the new set of leaves inside, and it's not ideal. They like the outer leaves to stay around them to protect them from the really hot summer sun, and then usually they start opening up, and it really depends on when they start splitting the outer leaves and coming out. If you water them too soon, it's really easy to get them to come out of dormancy a bit too soon. So we do want to be sure and give them a really good dry period, even though it's in the summer. And even though it feels a little bit backwards that they're sleeping, they definitely are. And most of them, you'll be very, very aware that they're sleeping when that happens. So I'm going to move to this one here, and you can see in the fissures how it's kind of turning a little bit translucent. That's really, really normal. Sometimes this might be a sign of overwatering or that rot or something started. And at different times of the year, it definitely can be. But at this time of the year, turning translucent is one of the pretty clear signs that they're getting ready to start becoming dormant. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're in the throes, but you can tell they're going that direction. So then we move to this one here, and you can see there's even more, let me get my camera adjusted here. There's even more translucent. See this, how this is getting really translucent. But how I can tell it's fine is that this is bulging. You can see, well, let me show from the top here. You can see how much this is bulging out here. And sometimes that could mean that they were overwatered, but at this time of year, it's typically just the new growth inside causing the leaves to bulge out from the inside. And as they grow and take up more and more space, the outer leaves just become really translucent. And I'm going to hold this up to the light a little bit more so that you can see those spots, how they start just becoming clearer, and it'll keep spreading. And if you worry about it, then you'll be really stressed for a long time for no reason, because that's very, very normal. Let's see what else we have here. A lot of these aren't showing much sign yet, which is just fine and pretty normal, but they all do have bulges pretty much down lower, which is a great sign. Sometimes the leaves will look just fine and then suddenly die really rapidly at this time of year. And that can often be just because the leaf was stressed, maybe partially detached from the roots, etc., and it didn't have enough gumption or reserves left to make a new leaf inside. So then when the leaf starts going on its way out, there's nothing to take its place. And so it just dies really quickly. And the leaf just didn't have the reserves to do it. This one's just starting. You can see in the fissures how it's getting clear. That one had some damage. It looked like someone cut it with a box cutter. You can see both of these. This whole cluster, only like one of the poor little heads wasn't cut through, bless its little heart. But I can feel babies down inside. Sometimes when they're damaged like that, they won't make a new set of leaves, but it was pretty early on in the season. So that one looks pretty good. The sky is starting. You can see the kind of lighter spots, but not very far along. These guys are quite, they're not doing much at all, but I can feel new leaves starting. They're just down a bit further. Some of the different shapes can look a bit different. Those aren't very far along yet, or I would give you a good look. I think this one is the one that I have photos of last year when it was in its husks. I'm hoping I still have photos somewhere. I didn't think to take as many photos of we tend to take photos of our plants when they're looking really pretty, and when they're dormant I just kind of leave them be, and I wished I had taken a few more photos. Yeah, these I'm not really feeling any clear signs of new leaves yet, but they're also not getting soft or squishy yet, so they're just fine. This guy, you can see he's showing some clear signs. I'm going to pull him out. He's got some shriveling and withering, but also you can see starting to get some translucent areas there, which is pretty good. And we got some nice firm bodies down here, and this is getting soft, you can see. So especially if this is rubbery, that is normal. Normal for these guys. If you're soft and mushy, you might need to worry a little bit. All right, this is a great example here. Let me spin these around. Pardon me. These guys are starting to split. So they were looking kind of sad a few weeks ago, but because no one was changing, I thought that they were just needing a drink, so I watered them, and now you can see this one is split right here, and you can see the new leaves kind of poking out, and this one is split on the top here, and you can see the new leaves poking out. Now this isn't too severe at all. This isn't going to really hurt them, and it likely won't continue to open. They'll hopefully they'll just continue to dry up. Now that I know that they're trying to go to sleep, I will not be watering them, and I will let these outer husks start drying up so that they can continue to protect. But if I were to keep watering this, these guys would just split open, and almost like a lithops does, and continue to just pop out new leaves. But that's not what we want. That's not the healthiest way that they go through their life cycles. They really like the leaves to stay around and protect the younger leaves for a little while. So we'll let that, but there's no let that happen. But there's no reason to panic if that happens. It just is a way to let you know that they are ready to have a bit of a dry period. And these are starting to shrivel up quite good. And again, how I can tell that they are ready to stop getting water is the little tips and fissures are getting a little bit translucent, and it's very clear that the shriveling is around the inner inside leaves that are forming, and they're very firm still. So that guy is going to go on rest. Most of these guys are about ready. There's just a few that will keep having some drinks along until they are a little bit further along. Some of these guys spent quite a lot of energy recuperating or regrowing roots. These guys are also going in. As you can see, they're looking pretty shriveled and sad, but there's nothing wrong with them. There's nice firm leaves inside the base of both of these guys. So that's great. But several of these have really been working on root systems because they were cuttings or had their roots damaged, etc. And so some of them aren't quite ready to stop with the watering yet, but they're all getting there. So these guys, you can see how they're puckering up. So that's pretty much what these guys look like last week before I watered them. And I just thought, they may need another drink because these guys had trouble rooting. And so, but now that I know about that these guys are splitting, then these guys are going to get left because they're going into the same life cycle. So the shriveling is just fine. But the translucentness, if you're not expecting it, it can be kind of startling when they suddenly start looking see-through. And keep in mind with some of these clusters that all of the leaves may not survive, especially if they were cuttings. They may not all have had the energy to make new leaves. Can't figure out where these little pieces of plastic are coming from. Let's see this set here. We can see the translucent fissures there, so it's getting on its way, but it's not too far along. Sorry, this video is more wobbly, you guys, with me holding it. Yep, the leaves they aren't progressed very far, the new leaves. The new sets of leaves are still down here. I can feel them bulging down at the base, but all of this is still empty, so they're going to progress up quite a bit more. Whereas on some of these that I showed earlier, the new sets of leaves has progressed all the way up to here, and they're just bulging out, so these guys are a bit farther along. It really depends on your variety, what to do when, and where you are, how close to the grow lights they are, yada yada yada. That's why it's really difficult to give rules about when to stop watering or when to start watering, etc. Yeah, really difficult. Okay, I'm gonna set this one back here and we'll check out this other. These aren't all of them, but these were all the ones that were on this one tray, so I thought I might as well show an entire tray worth. There's some more out there, and some I just went blank, Cherodopsis also that can look very similar to the Conophytum. These guys don't seem to be having a lot of new growth yet, so they will probably continue to get a little bit more water because I'm not feeling new leaves, so I'm going to go ahead and give them a drink. But you can see a little bit of translucentness happening, happening there. So we are progressing a little bit, but because I'm not feeling new leaves yet, on a few of them they're starting. But so this one's just a little farther behind. Well, that's okay. So he's going to get a little drink for his shriveledness. But even though these guys technically look worse, like they really need a drink, they have great new leaves that are all the way up to here. So all of this spot, these will just continue to shrivel and cover and protect these new leaves over the summer. These guys will go outside over the summer. Not in full sun or anything like that, but they will be and have a lot more circulation and stuff. So I do like to keep the paper husks on them if at all possible, just to protect them as much as possible. Okay, I hope that helps you guys. I will video more as they progress and as they look worse, just to reassure you all that that they do get pretty sad looking. So it's okay. Let's see what this guy's up to. Oh, he's got a nice little new leaf coming on there. I love some of the fat little happy ones. They make me smile. Anyway, so if your Conophytum are shriveling at this time of year, Don't just without thinking drench them, thinking, oh my goodness, they are so shriveled. How did they get shriveled that fast? And why aren't they soaking up water? Or panic. And if they get translucent, that's just a great sign to back off on the watering and start letting them get into a dry period. All right, you guys, I hope you are doing well. If you'd like to join the Facebook group, there will be a link to that in the comment or in the description box below. The name did change of the group. I was trying to get everything consistent, so with YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, etc., just trying to get everything a bit more uniform so that it wasn't confusing, and decided to go with the name Succulent Alchemy. I asked for suggestions on our group, and one of the viewers suggested Succulent Alchemy, and I was like, yes, 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 that is so so great. My husband had suggested the Succulent Witch or something like that, because I love experimenting and am a redhead, and was always known for all of the potions and crazy things I was doing, and I said, well, witch just doesn't quite say what I'm looking for, but Succulent Alchemy was really fun and made me very happy. So you'll notice that has changed on the channel here. Eventually I'll probably take my name off the channel as well, or put it on the back end, but I didn't want to confuse anyone when they're like, wait, what is Succulent Alchemy? Why is that here? So I'm going about it a bit slower. So that's a change that's taken place in case you've noticed. Anyway, I will talk to you guys soon. These little fat ones, you just can't hardly help yourself. You just have to squeeze them. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys soon. I hope you're having a great day, and happy growing.